Today on Us Weekly's Reality Recap, The Ultimatum's Lisa reveals if she is still together with Brian following their baby news.
Still together, things are good, living together, nurturing our family.
Plus, Raquel Leviss admits she had magical thinking when it came to her relationship with Tom Sandoval. And Ariana Madix puts Bethany Frankel on blast while revealing why she is still living with Tom. And we break down the scandalous trailer for Selling the OC Season 2. We've got that plus so much more on today's Us Weekly Reality Recap. Hey guys, Christina Garibaldi here with Us Weekly executive producer Mandy DeCamp, and welcome to Us Weekly's Reality Recap. And Mandy, I am happy to be back.
Happy to have you, Christina. You're nice and tan from your little trip. That's very nice.
Yeah, it's nice and tan. A lot of family time. It was very nice, but it's good to be back talking about our favorite things, reality TV. But before we do, let's see what you guys had to say about last week's show. Barbara says Bethany didn't need to hold Rachel accountable. Rachel holds herself accountable and has apologized over and over. I'm sure she regrets it more than anything. The cast were all bullies, and they all make me sick because not one of them are innocent. It seems like a lot of people in the comments were kind of Team Bethany and Team Rachel.
Dang. I mean, I do see the tables turn a little bit for myself as well watching it. I just because it was a long time coming to hear Raquel's side. So I think, it was interesting to hear her side. I'm interested to see the season and hear everyone else's side again. Mm-hmm. I understand why people are kind of back and forth now on them.
I understand it too, totally.
Yeah. Daryl Schuyler said, Bethany victim shamed Ariana and spoke horribly about her, even though Rachel said that Ariana has always been nice to her, stuck up for her and supported Rachel. Even if Ariana and Sandoval had a bad relationship, it doesn't excuse what Sandoval and Rachel did. Bethany shamed Ariana for living with Sandoval. However, Bethany lived with her ex-husband after she filed for divorce. Bethany even detailed her ex-husband's abusive behavior towards her while living together, but Bethany wants Ariana to move out of the $2 million home she owns with Sandoval. That's another good point. You guys always make me flip-flop in my views because you make
so true. I do agree with this person. I really do feel like Bethany, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later on when Ariana kind of puts Bethany on blast, but Bethany really went after Ariana, and for somebody that never even watched the show, didn't really do her research, it seemed a bit... Like, why would you do something like that? And if you don't really know the full story, like, she really should have done her homework like Howie Mandel should have, but maybe that's why
I see what they're saying, and also I think it's an important note to bring up that make sure you realize what Bethany said and what Raquel said, because very two different things. Raquel didn't always, agree with Bethany during this interview.
No, it's so true. And then James Gavin said, I'm definitely a Rachel Raquel fan. Always have been. Ariana and Tom will go make their millions. Let's all move on. Oh, how I wish we could, but then what would we have to talk about? It would be very hard.
I'm sorry.
All right. Well, before we get into all of the Vanderpump news, we wanted to change things up a little bit and talk about Selling the OC, because season 2 is right around the corner and it looks like it's going to be scandalous. So Tyler Stanaland and Polly Brindle hook up possibly in this upcoming season. In the trailer, it suggests that they're hiding something and Kayla Cardona is stirring the pot. So Polly says to Kayla in the trailer, have you been showing people a video of me and Tyler? Well, Polly doesn't finish her sentence, but she starts to say a word starting with the letter M, seemingly claiming that Kayla has a clip of Polly and Tyler making out. Meanwhile, scenes of Polly taking off her cover-up to unveil a bathing suit while Tyler smiles in the background definitely leads us to believe that maybe something happened. Elsewhere in the trailer, Tyler confronts Kayla about his love life, saying, you don't know my personal life. I just want you to stop talking about me. So then, of course, we're going to get some drama with Tyler and Alex Hall. Maybe they kind of take their friendship to another level. It seems like there's a lot going on, maybe a lot of sloppiness going on with Tyler this season.
I'm here for it. I am into the show before the season even comes out. I think it's Tyler makes it. I mean, the fact that he was married to a celebrity, not a reality star. He was married to Brittany Snow. And now we're getting to see the aftermath of that and who he's dating, who he might be hooking up with. I find it fascinating.
I find it fascinating, too. And they never mentioned her name ever. Brittany Snow, they're like, divorce. Never mentioned Brittany. But would you like to see Alex and Tyler give it a shot?
No. I'm not a huge fan of Alex, so I'm interested to see what other relationships are developing for him. But I hope it's not just Alex.
Yeah.
Would you? Do you want to see him with Alex?
No, I really don't feel like they really mesh well together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not like a huge Alex Hall fan. I feel like I feel like she's really into him and wants to make this happen, even though she's like, no, we're best friends. We're best friends. But I feel like probably something will happen this season between the two of them. Just my guess.
I mean, I just don't understand. Like, no offense to Alex Hall, but I don't understand how you would go from Brittany Snow to Alex Hall.
Right.
Sorry.
It just baffles me that he would do this show to begin with. I get it. It's a huge opportunity and it looks great for him. But Brittany is somebody that's so private and this is such a public stage. Yeah. I feel like that was probably may have caused the demise of their relationship.
Yeah, I would say it had something to do with it, or it was already just falling apart before he did it, and this was like the final straw.
Right. Well, when your husband's giving nosies to somebody else, it's not going to sit well.
And you're a real celebrity. Like, you're a real, talented actress.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I digress, but I'm very heated about this whole situation, and I cannot wait for that season to start. Moving back to Vanderpump, because we just can't get enough of it, Raquel responded to fan chatter about whether she pursued a relationship with Sandoval when she knew he was still dating Ariana. So this is an ongoing question. Maybe we'll never get the real answer to it. Who knows? But she responded to a clip from the Bravo T with Jared B podcast saying, "You're not wrong. I should have had more self-respect than that and should have respected the relationship that Ariana had with Tom. No excuses." Raquel's comment came in response to a video of host Jared Barnes discussing her recent interview with Bethany. Raquel said she wouldn't have gotten involved with Sandoval if she thought he had a viable romance with Ariana still. But Jared questioned why she agreed to the arrangement. In her comment, Raquel blamed her logic on her own self-esteem problems. She wrote, "Looking back, I see I had low self-worth, and Tom kept telling me he was actively breaking up with Ariana amicably for her mental health, which I can now see was magical thinking. He had 1,000,001 reasons why they hadn't broken up yet, and it was easier to stay in that fantasy than to face the fact that the social anxiety and isolation was not worth it." She concluded that Jared's assessment of the situation was absolutely and 100% right, adding, "It was my responsibility to remove myself from that situation. Now I know better." I mean, what do you think here? Like, do you think she's talking quite a bit? This is surprising me a little bit.
This is surprising, but it's also like, why didn't you say that in your interview with Bethany? Like, I feel like maybe she's like, oh, I see the reaction that I've gotten from a lot of people after doing this interview, and now I feel like I have to take even more accountability. Yeah, she did say a lot of these things in her interview, but it didn't seem like she 100% owned up to the fact that she was at fault. Yes, she said that she had, low self-esteem, and I think Tom gave her this whole fairy tale fantasy, being like, I'm going to break up with Ariana, just give it a few more months, we're going to be together. The story of, I'm always going to leave my wife, I'm always going to leave my girlfriend, but they never do.
Right.
And I feel like that's what happened to her. I feel like she got sucked up into this this fairy tale love story that Tom was feeding her. Yeah. And she didn't have the self-confidence or self-worth to say, you know what, this is not the situation I should be in. Not right at all. I mean, Ariana was a good friend of yours. You should have stayed away from that completely. But I think that he was feeding her information that kind of got to her head.
Yeah, magical thinking.
Magical thinking. All right. Well, the Vanderpump news just keeps rolling. Sheena and Ariana offered a glimpse into the financial side. This has been a big story, but since Raquel's interview with Bethany about how much everybody really does get paid for the show. So Ariana and Sheena during their interview kind of broke it down a little bit. Sheena questioned Bethany's claims that Raquel wasn't properly compensated for filming season 10 of the show. She said, "I know for a fact how much Raquel made because she thanks me for getting her with the attorney she was with last season. He was able to negotiate her $19,000 an episode for 19 episodes. That is $361,000. So while discussing the fallout from her affair, Bethany claimed that the network should be offering Raquel a bigger paycheck. She said that her interns were making more. I've never heard of an intern making over $300,000 a year, but it must be some really good interns. Raquel cited that the network's reluctance to pay her the same amount as Sandoval and Ariana for season 11 as part of the reason why she wouldn't be returning to the show. Ariana said on the podcast that it's pretty much seniority. If you've been there for a longer period of time, you're getting more money. And Raquel hasn't been there since day one. So I understand that. And I'm sure that producers were giving her a big bump, but she just, I don't know. This is just,
that's a decent chunk of money that she was making. A lot of money. Keep in mind, this is not year round. Like, this is, 19 episodes or, give or take. It's probably a few months of their life out of the year.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of money. I would like to know what Tom and Ariana are making too, though, to compare it. Because if they're making like double, maybe I can see her getting a little frustrated.
Sure,
since she is the entire storyline.
Right. No, definitely. I wonder if they tried to meet her somewhere in the middle, because then if, you pay her, who's only been there a short amount of time, then you got to pay James a little bit more. You got to pay Allie a little bit more. So it's kind of like this trickle down effect. And I don't know.
But I've made the point a few times, they're also getting all these side deals. However, Raquel is not getting these side deals because she's the villain. So Ariana's making bank, as we know, from all of her side deals, in addition to a higher salary on the show. So, I mean, if you're considering she's only getting the $19,000 an episode, she is making a lot less than someone like Ariana is right now, obviously.
And even Tom's getting these endorsement deals now. He posted something the other day that he's working with some drink company. So the promotions are working for him, and he's going to be on Special Forces. It's, I do feel bad in that regard that, Raquel is getting the brunt of this when this is Tom's fault too. And he's just, rolling back into the friend group and, rolling in the money now, getting these endorsements. It just doesn't seem fair to me.
It's not fair, but also we have to take ourselves out of this whole ridiculous reality world and be like, most people in the United States are not making this amount of money. So you're also complaining about something that's just absurd to most people. But I digress, we got to go back to our reality world. Well, Ariana's routine has changed while she's under the same roof as her ex, Tom, following the affair, of course. She said during an episode of Sheena's podcast, which can I just say, Sheena's podcast makes headlines. She knows
really
what
does. I mean, she's in retrospect for these people, thank God for this affair, because they really, they are all cashing in on this. Because, every time that these people do interviews now, it's headline news. And, everybody kind of goes to who they feel comfortable with. And Ariana went to Sheena. So good for her.
Yeah. So she told Sheena, there's something to be said for that. Just toward the end of our relationship, while he was having the affair, him staying out late all the time was always something that made my anxiety super, super bad. It was the never knowing when he would come through the door, never knowing how late he would stay out. In that regard, I sleep a lot easier at night, not giving a fuck about when he is coming home or when he's coming through that door. That is one thing I have to say about us living in the same house. I don't have to think about how he is coming into my bedroom because he's not. I sleep with the door locked just in case. She also pointed out that uprooting her life would cost her more, adding, I have never been someone who came from money. I know how quickly that goes away. I'm taking care of myself. I have a pretty decent setup. My room is kind of like my little apartment. I stay in my own little zone. I don't get it. Just get a new house. Sell it and use that money to get a new house.
Right. I'm sure it's, it's a $2 million home. You split it. There's your $1 million and move on. I mean, you can't. This is not a situation that's going to be forever. You can't live in the same house forever. So you might as well just cut ties now before you kind of get even deeper into this, because you don't want to be walking around your house on eggshells, having to lock your door at night just in case.
No, not when you're spending that much on a house. This is ridiculous. Or have him buy out his part of the house with her and have him move out. And if you really love that house that much, stay there, get a roommate, whatever. But this
totally. You're totally right. It's the least you can do is at least leave her the house.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Well, a little bit more from Ariana's interview with Sheena, because we have to talk about how she basically blasted Bethany Frankel. So while she confessed that she did not listen to the entire conversation of Raquel and Bethany's interview, she did acknowledge that it was difficult to read about what was said. She said, I don't think that there's anything wrong with or anything bad about Rachel going on anything to do any interview. Obviously, she was going to at some point, but some of the things that were said made me really sad, made me really angry. Despite her bumpy history, Ariana was left feeling more upset with Bethany, saying, I feel like she should have known better. She slammed Bethany for alleging that Ariana had forgiven her ex, Tom Sandoval, for his affair, saying, I'm like, why are you speaking for me? I don't know you. I don't know what the F you're talking about, lady. Sheena reminded her listeners that Bethany admitted that she hadn't watched the majority of Vanderpump Rules, which you mentioned before, apart from the reunion, before the sit-down. And she asked Ariana how she felt about criticism of her behavior toward Raquel and Tom during the reunion, which was filmed just a few weeks after the scandal broke. She said, I believe that my response to what was done to me in that moment was exactly what I would think any person would respond with in that moment. Ariana did acknowledge that she probably would not say the same things to Raquel now that she did in the immediate aftermath of the scandal. I mean, I totally agree with this. Like, Bethany should not be speaking for Ariana. This was the heat of the moment in the reunion. I probably would have reacted the same way. I probably would have, leapt, reached across the room and probably smacked her a little bit. But, that's just how she was feeling at the moment. And every vile, terrible thing that came to her mind, she said it.
Yeah, I think it's a fair, what she's saying is fair. I do think that, we have to keep in mind with these interviews that we're not hearing Ariana's side. It's got to be frustrating for her.
Right.
Until we have a conversation, until if this would ever happen, Raquel, Tom, and Ariana sit down together and do something, which they totally should, because someone would buy that. They'd all make bank on that. Until the three of them are sitting down together and kind of share their side together, we're never going to really, it's always going to be a little bit unfair and a little bit biased.
Totally. All right. Well, let's move on because, Mandy, I don't know if you watched this season of The Ultimatum, Marry or Move On, but it is wrapped up and everyone was shocked at the beginning of the season when Lisa revealed to Brian that she was pregnant. So where does she and Brian stand right now? Update on their baby. Well, here is what she told us.
How are you feeling? I don't know when exactly this was filmed. So how are you feeling? Still pregnant?
No, not pregnant. Baby is out. The baby is chunky and healthy. He is just the cutest thing.
Oh my God. How are you settling into mom life? Are you loving it?
Oh my God. I love it. Love it. Love it. When we had him, I don't know, when you have a child and just looking at him, those tiny hands, those eyes, you just become obsessed. So I'm literally obsessed over him right now. He's all I talk about with everybody.
Oh, I love it so much. So are you and Brian still together? Everything good?
Yes, me and Brian are still together. Things are good. Living together, nurturing our family, making sure that everything's in place for the kids. We're doing good.
Good. I know when you told him that you were pregnant, he said, my view of marriage is now even more complicated. What is his view of marriage now?
It better not be complicated, Christina. No, for what he's verbalized to me, though, marriage is definitely something that we're working towards. It's something that he definitely wants for us, for our family. So we'll see.
Are you engaged?
We are not.
Not. Okay. All right. Well, you've had a lot on your plate. Settling into life with a newborn is not easy.
Yeah, this was definitely a good season. A lot of big surprises and a lot of happy endings, too.
Yeah, I have not watched yet, and now I feel like I know the endings for everything because we work at Us Weekly, and I have to read my emails, but I might still go back and watch it.
There's no escaping the spoilers when you work here. All right, let's get into our social spotlight of the week. And we wanted to give a big shout out to Hannah Brown. She's engaged to her now fiance, Adam. It looked like they had a beautiful engagement and she seems so happy and so in love. As we know, she was engaged to Jet. That didn't go over too well. She had that brief romance with Tyler, but it seems like she found her happy ever after. So good for Hannah.
I like Hannah, so I feel like I'm happy that she found the one. I'm happy that he's not from Bachelor Nation.
Totally. All right, well, that is it for this week's episode of Reality Recap. Let us know in the comments if you are still team Raquel and Bethany, if you're on Ariana's side. There's so much Vanderpump Rules news. Let us know what you thought about The Ultimatum and what you're excited about for Selling the OC. If you want to see Tyler and Alex hook up, let us know. We'll see you guys next week. For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.